us today and welcome to this portion of Coyote Football Media Day. We have invited our 6 team captains to join us. At the table are our 3 defensive captains. You will also hear from our offensive captains, and they'll be followed by Coach Bob Nielsen. The 3 captains to my right are all preseason All-Americans and returning all-conference performers from a year ago. Brock Mogensen is a captain for the 2nd year in a row. He is a 6th-year senior from Farmington, Minnesota, and a 2-time All-Valley linebacker. Brock enters this season with 286 career tackles. Just 7 players in program history have reached 300. Stephen Hillis is a senior linebacker in his 5th season with the Coyotes. He hails from Hardington, Nebraska. Stephen led the Valley with 115 tackles last season, which included 4 sacks. He is a returning first-team all-conference performer. Miles Harden is a 4th-year junior from Miami Gardens, Florida. Hero Sports named Miles to its sophomore All-America team last year, even though he played in just 6 games. And that's because Miles forced 6 turnovers in that span, with 3 interceptions and 3 forced fumbles. Let's open the floor to your questions.
Eric being Yankton.
Go ahead.
Okay, Eric being Yankton, President of the Cone. Stephen, just being back out on the practice field after being a de facto coach in the spring, how exciting has it been to get out on the field with the linebackers like Cannon out there?
Yeah, it's real fun. A lot of new faces. It's real fun to get out there and compete with the guys again. Going against the offense, practicing with the defense. It's great.
Jacob Nielsen, Mitchell Republic. Question for both Brock and Steve. I know you guys are leaders of one of the deepest linebacker rooms in the conference, and obviously you're going to have a huge role on the defense's success this year. So, do you take pride in that? Is it pressure for you guys, or just how do you feel about that?
Yeah, like you said, we take pride in it. Our linebacker group, we like to hold ourselves to a high standard, and each day we want to reset that standard, and we think that each guy in our linebacker room, from freshmen all the way up to us, 6th, 7th-year seniors, can come out there and play and compete with any team. So, yeah, we hold ourselves to a pretty high standard in there.
Matt Zimmer, Sioux Falls Live. Miles, much was made last year about how difficult your guys' schedule was at the beginning of the season. How important, after knowing how that played out last year, do you guys feel like it is to get off to a really good start this year and create some momentum early in the season?
For us, I feel like we got to build confidence within ourselves, knowing how we did last year. So coming out this year and competing and doing everything we got to do to have a better year this year is big for us, and I feel like that's big. That's basically what it is.
Miles, just how excited are you to be back out there with Coach Taylor and other returners such as Dennis Shorter and Josiah Gaines in the secondary?
I'm happy to be back out there. It's good competing with those guys and learning from them and learning from Coach Taylor and coaching up the younger freshmen so we can have a rotation of guys we trust and could compete with all season. So it's good to be back out there.
Steven, you guys didn't win as many games last year as you wanted to. How motivating is that? How hungry do you feel like this team is to turn things around, have a better season in 23?
Yeah, obviously, we didn't do great last year. That's something we want to change, this year. So we're working hard every day, all winter, summer, now into the fall, at the beginning of the fall practices, just hungry,
Jonathan Fernandez, Argus leader. Just curious, what were your guys' reactions or emotions when you were selected to be preseason All-Americans?
It felt good to be recognized, but at the same time, I took it I didn't take it as this is something that I'm given. I work for it, and we all work for it and put in the work for it. So we still got work to go and improve, and I didn't take it.
Yeah, I guess for me it's exciting, but we haven't proved anything yet. I mean, I mean, it's a preseason kind of thing, so you gotta prove it in the season. That's where I kind of see it as. So cool kind of deal, but you still gotta prove it in the season.
Yep, exactly.
Brock, you guys have been going up against an offense in practice that has a new offensive coordinator. What do you know about Coach Davis and what's your relationship like with him? And then also, what's it like playing those guys? I know it's a lot of returners, but probably a new scheme and such.
Yeah, me and Coach Davis talk every once in a while, but not a whole lot. But awesome coach. Love him. Love his passion. Love his leadership that he's brought here. And then with our offense, we kind of just touched on it yesterday that we're kind of seeing everything that he's brought in. We're going to see it throughout the season. It's not like we're only getting one picture every day. He's bringing new ideas, new schemes for the offense that we'll see, so it'll benefit us. And then just going against our offense, competing with them every day, it's been great. They bring a lot of energy. All the coaches do, so I think that's been a positive for us.
Brock, I was on a radio show yesterday with someone asking me about your guys' game against Missouri. And the guy said, well, we know USD can't win that game, so what do you think they want to try to accomplish? And I kind of thought, okay, I guess you can't even – I'm sure you're used to hearing those kinds of things when it comes to playing those games against Power Fives. How do you react to people looking at it that way? You know, what's sort of the mindset going into a game like that where you know you're big underdogs, but I'm sure you guys feel like you can win that game?
Yeah, I mean, each year we've came out and competed against them. I mean, nothing against them, but yeah, we're going to come out, we're fight our hardest. We're practicing right now, practicing hard. And just a couple years ago, played KU, almost beat them. Last year, Kansas State was a little slip up, but we're still coming out there. We're all freshmen to seniors in college. It's not like they're bigger or whatever than us. So I mean, we're all the same age, playing football, playing Division I football together. So yeah, just going to come out and compete against them.
Ryan from the Sioux City Journal. Going back to last year, between that and a couple of you being seniors, was that added motivation coming into this year, or how did that factor in, if at all, to off-season work, or just kind of trying to take the next step up as far as leadership and all that goes?
Yeah, well, I think, that season's fresh in everybody's mind. So that's always going to be a driving factor. It gets hard in the summer workouts, whatever. You're like, God, do I want to go 3-8 again, or do I want to change things? It's like, well, we want to change things. So.
Yeah, going back to workouts, I mean, off-season really starts in the winter. And for us three, I mean, with us two getting surgery, Miles not being able to lift, I mean, your leadership role has to be a lot bigger because you're in the weight room, but you're not really lifting or anything. So you're watching guys, keeping them accountable. I think that's where it kind of starts them young guys to develop for this season.
Yeah, I would say being able to come back with a better mindset, being able to look from the coach's perspective, because we were sitting out. So being able to look at a different perspective, it built our leadership role and helped us do things better and build a better culture here. So
Just what does it mean to each of you to be named captains by your team?
it means a lot. It means the guys on the team trust us, and we got to be held to a higher standard to lead the team in the right way.
Kind of like Miles said, yeah, it's a great opportunity that they've given to us, and they look up to us, but we got to be leaders for them. We can't just, not show them what leadership really is. And I know some guys lead differently. Some guys are vocal. Some guys lead by example and stuff like that. So, and I think all six of us and the other guys that are in the leadership council, we have all a plethora of guys that can lead in different ways. So,
Yeah, we got leaders at every level on the team, old guys, young guys, all position groups. So it's a big responsibility. We look forward to taking on the challenge.
Miles, the passing side of the defense last year, was something that you guys had success in. How's that something you kind of build off this year, continuing to be a tough secondary?
Being able to go out and compete every day and do our assignment, I feel like that's something that we could get better at, so we could be an even better defensive core.
Anybody else? It's okay.
Steven, I'll ask you, you've seen the Missouri Valley preseason rankings. What do you want to show the conference this year, and what do you want this team to prove to everybody else?
I mean, just like every team in the Valley, our goal is to win a conference championship, and so we're just competing every day, working hard, getting better, banging heads against each other, trying to get better.
Sophomore quarterback Aiden Bauman and fifth-year junior running back Travis Tice. Isaac has started all 39 games for South Dakota over the last 4 seasons. He's a sixth year from Urbandale, Iowa. Isaac earned freshman All-America honors back in 2019 and is a preseason all-conference pick this season. Aiden is from Buffalo, Minnesota. He started the final 4 games last season, and his performance earned him a spot on the Valley's all-newcomer team. Aiden totaled 10 touchdowns against 1 interception and passed for a little less than 900 yards. Travis has been a staple in the Coyotes' backfield the last 3 seasons. He is from Pratt, Kansas, and has run for more than 1,600 yards and 15 touchdowns in 30 collegiate games. Travis has earned honorable mention All-Valley honors in each of the last 2 years and is a preseason pick again this season. Questions for our captains?
Aiden, just how much fun has it been in Coach Davis's offense, collaborating with him and maybe having some plays geared towards your strengths as well?
Yeah, it's been awesome. I mean, I've said this a lot. He's a guru. He knows, what he's talking about. He knows how to run an offense. We're getting guys bought in, which is the most fun. And it's fall camp. All you have to think about right now is football. So, being with the guys, being out there and competing, it's an absolute blast.
Excuse me, Isaac, I'm sure last year through August and September, you probably got tired of people talking about the early season schedule and all those tough games that you had. This year it isn't necessarily quite that difficult. How important is it, do you feel like, for you guys to get off to a good start this year, set the tone, build some momentum early in the season?
It's always important to get off to a great start into a season because at the end of the day, all we want to do is win, and it's also 11 on 11, so there's no reason why we can't get off to a great start.
For Isaac and Travis, both you guys have been in Vermillion for a while, and I mean, the landscape of college sports has changed so much with NIL and the transfer portal. Why are you guys still here, and why are you guys leaders on this team?
Vermillion has been a great community for me. I mean, I've going on year 6 here. I've had nothing but great things here, and I couldn't be excited to spend my last college season here.
I think it's really the people. I like to call myself a true Yote. I think there's lots of true Yotes in this room, lots of true Yotes in our program, and those people are the reason that I've stayed here and continue to play for this program and do what we do.
For all three of you, for all 3 of you guys, what has Coach Davis brought to the offense that maybe previous offensive coordinators didn't have you guys doing here before?
I mean, I think offense all around college football, everyone kind of does the same thing, but in different ways. I mean, Coach Davis brings a really, like I said, a smart aspect to everything. Like, he really knows football really well. He knows, who we have on our team, and he tailors it to, work the best with the guys that are going to be on the field at that time.
He brought a new aspect to football. I mean, it's fast, it's physical, it's hard football, and that's what we need, and that's how we're going to play, and it's going to be great this year.
Travis, another year, a lot of talent in the running back room. As a leader of that, or just getting to be a part of that every day, how do you expect that can be a part of the offense you guys can lean on?
It should be a huge part of the offense we can lean on. The room's super talented, like you said. It's competitive every day, and it's really good for the running back room. It's really good for the offense, and it's really good for the program to have rooms like that.
Aiden, how excited are you guys for this Missouri game to open? I don't know if you heard the question I asked the defense, but someone was telling me, they don't have a chance to even win this game. It's a big game. You've played at that level before. How excited are you for a game like that?
Absolutely pumped. Anytime you get to play in a Power 5 stadium, get a lot of fans in there, it's always fun. But at the same time, it's another game. You prepare for any game the same you do with any other game. So that's what we're doing right now. We're competing. We're preparing for that game on Thursday night, and we're going to do the same throughout the entire season.
Does it bother you to hear people say that you can't win it, or are you motivated? Do you relish that underdog role?
I mean, why play if you don't think you can win,
Isaac, just how much confidence does it give the offensive line, just the depth at running back with Travis, Mike, Nate, those guys?
It's awesome. Like, we know if we get our job done, the offense will keep moving forward. So just when our 5 guys get our 5 jobs done, we'll have plenty of backs to keep pounding the ball. And that's all we like to do.
For Isaac or Aiden, last season, a big thing was trying to find consistency on offense and staying on the field. Is that something you guys talked about, worked on this offseason to do that more often?
Yeah, I mean, consistency is always key regardless of what side of the ball you're on. And, I mean, that's always something you strive and work for. So, I mean, yeah, we've been working on that, and so as a defense, so as special teams, all sides of the ball, we're just working to be consistent because at the end of the day, consistency is key.
And Aiden, how has your relationship with Coach Davis kind of developed, and how important is that relationship between a QB and his offensive coordinator?
Yeah, it's been awesome. I mean, I've gotten to know him since he got here, early winter, and our relationship has continued to develop. And I feel like he's done a great job coaching me, and I can go talk to him about things, outside of football if I need to. But we have a great relationship, and I'm really excited to see what we do this year with him.
Champion head coach. This is his 31st season in serving as a head coach and his 8th year leading the Coyotes. South Dakota has 6 NCAA playoff appearances in the last 50 years. Coach Nielsen has led us there twice in the last 6. The fraternity of FCS coaches with 200 career wins includes Harvard's Tim Murphy and Bob Nielsen. That's it. Coach, floor is yours.
Thanks. Really excited. And I think you see by talking to 6 guys, one of the reasons why I'm so excited is, we've got a great group of young men, great group of leaders on our football team, and that group, at the end of the season last year, said we're going to change the outcome, and said to do that we're going to have to change the input, and we've had a tremendous off season, starting with our lifting cycle in January and February. We had a really good spring practice. Obviously, we got some new coaches that are part of the change of input with some new systems. On the offensive side of the football, felt like we walked away from spring in a really good place to keep building. Our guys have had a tremendous summer. It's the thing that's probably changed the most in my 31 years of being head coach is the amount of opportunity you have over the summer to get better with summer access and the ability to do the things that you can now do in the summer, and our guys took full advantage of that, and as a result, we hit fall camp running, and I think we're practice 8 today, and each one's been good. I haven't walked away thinking that we had a bad day. We've got some things we got to continue to improve at, get better at. But I like where we're at, and love the group of guys that we've got in our program right now. I'll talk just a little bit about both sides of the ball and then open it up for questions. I think it's kind of neat that captain-wise we got the representation that we do. I'll start on the defensive side. We've got a lot of experience back, a lot of highly touted players there. That group needs to be good. This league forces you to have a good defensive football team if you're going to compete for a championship. That linebacker room is really deep with Brock and Steve leading the way there. We've got all of our starters back in the secondary, with Miles and Dennis Shorter and JoJo Gaines at safeties, and then Shaheed Barrows playing the other corner. That played a considerable amount a year ago. But we've also got some depth there behind those guys. Guys that either have developed in our program or, a couple of new faces. Tim White, safety that joined our program and who's actually from Miles's high school in January, along with Clayton Denker. Guys that have stepped forward, guys that you're going to see on the field a lot, both in special teams and on defense, along with several others there. So we feel like we've got better depth in the secondary than what we've ever had. Up front, we did make a position change. We moved Brennan Webb who's had really good years for us playing defensive end. We moved him to what we call our rush backer position, which plays, in a on the line of scrimmage situation, but also allows him to use his athleticism. And then up front, we return Blake Holden and Nick Gaze, guys that have played a lot of football for us over the last 2 years, and we've added some pieces there. A transfer from the University of Nebraska who came in January, Masai Newsom, who's going to play a lot for us up front. And we feel like we've got, some really good depth there too, with Micah Roan and Mike Grace at defensive end, and some additional guys behind them. So defensively, we're deeper, and I think we can put a very physical football team out on the football field. Offensively, the offensive line, we return, with Isaac Urbis and Joey Lombard at center and Bryce Henderson at the other guard. 3 interior guys that have a lot of experience. Isaac multiple years, Joey a couple of years as a starter. Bryce, who was a regular last year. Tackle positions will be guys that are a little bit newer and younger. Right now, a couple of local products, Caden Ellingson and Joe Cotton, with Caden being from T and Joe Cotton being from Sioux Falls, guys that, had great springs. Guys that, we're going to lean on at those positions. And so we feel like, we're in good shape there with the offensive line moving forward, and guys that are just going to keep getting better. You've talked about the running back room. Travis providing great leadership there and looks great. He was a little bit slowed last year with a couple of injuries. He's completely healthy. It's been great to see Nate Thomas back in practice after missing all of last year. Very dynamic player, and then Mike Mansoray, and we've got a couple of other younger guys there that look really, really good too. So we feel like that's a position that we got to lean on a little bit. You may see some looks where we put 2 backs in the game at the same time. Wide receiver position, Carter Bell, a guy that, Coach Davis and our offensive staff are doing a good job. He's a guy we've got to find ways to get the ball to. He's a very dangerous guy, both on the perimeter offensively and in the return game, and he'll need to be a guy that we utilize well in our offense. And then the rest of that receiver room, we're continuing to try to build forward with a couple of guys that we think can be really good complements to what Carter can do us, and some names there. We got Jack Martins, who played a lot last year, as a guy that we think can certainly be a high-level player, and as well as, we've got a couple of bigger-bodied receivers, and Javion Phelps and Tristan Mashad, who's a transfer from he had a great catch today there in the one drill for a touchdown from Iowa State, and a couple of other younger guys there too. So we've got some depth at that position. And that's the one thing overall. I think we've got better depth in our football team than we've had. And tight end position, J.J. Galbraith, who ended up being a regular for us a year ago with Austin Gehring's injury and really inability to play. And J.J.'s bigger and still very dynamic at that position, and a guy we've got to find ways to get the ball to as well systematically. So, quarterback-wise, Aiden has continued to improve. You see the confidence level in executing the system. Saw it develop in the spring. It's gotten continued better. That room we added a couple of transfers there in the summer to go along with our freshman quarterbacks. Just felt that we needed some more depth there, and so there's some competition in that room too. But certainly see Aiden as a guy that can do a great job distributing the football and running our offensive system. So with that, open it up for any questions that you might have.
Right, Coach.
Yeah.
Just after the first day of spring practice, I remember you talking to the team about building a foundation. Just where maybe an area or two where the team has grown the most since that first spring practice through the summer.
I think, this team's really done a great job of, and it shows up in watching the way that we practice. Our guys practice hard. They do a good job taking care of each other. We practice today. It was a very physical day of practice, and I think that's what shows up. That physically, we're a team that has the ability, both offensively and defensively, to play at the kind of physical level that you have to in this league to win.
Bob, your secondary, you mentioned you got it all back, and obviously did a lot of good things last year. How do you kind of build off that, with knowing you did good last year and now you got everyone back to do even better?
Well, I think, that group's provided great leadership for our entire defense with some of the experience that we have there, and not just with Miles, but Dennis Shorter and JoJo and, those guys that have played a lot now. We ask those guys to do a lot. There's a tremendous amount of communication that takes place in our secondary, and some of the things that we have to check defensively through the secondary and the linebacker grouping. And so it's great to have a group that you can really lean on for some of those types of things.
Hey, Bob. Jonathan Fernandez, Argus leader. How would you describe what it was like playing without an offensive coordinator last year for much of the season? And then also, what is Josh Davis bringing to that position this year? And how would you describe his offensive philosophy?
Yeah, last year was difficult, and when you have to make a staff change, during the season, it's a difficult thing. I think our players responded really well, but obviously we didn't play as well as you needed to win games in the league. When I set course to hire a new offensive coordinator, it was really about two things: finding somebody that has the right kind of experience, but also somebody that understands our league and the kinds of things that we got to do in our league to win. And that's what Coach Davis has brought to our program from the experiences that he has. Systematically, we look different. From the thing that fans will notice the most is they're going to see, multiple formations, more changes in terms of formations with motions and shifts and some things that you see maybe a little bit more on Sunday than you do on Saturdays if you're a football watcher. And by that meaning we look a little bit more like some of the things that you see in the NFL as opposed to kind of the traditional spread offenses in college. And I think it's the whole idea behind that is let's try to find a way to gain an advantage. And you heard one of our players talk about the fact that the other thing that I think Coach Davis is really doing well is through the spring he's gotten a really good feel for our personnel, understanding the strengths and maybe the areas where we're not as strong offensively, and adapting what we're doing offensively to fit those strengths really well.
Coach Jake Nielsen, Mitchell Republic. You've been to a fall camp or two in your career. How do you get a gist of what the culture of the team's going to be like, and what things have you seen so far that maybe suggest that this is a winning culture?
Yeah, I think there's two things that are important. Number one is leadership, and as I said in my opening comments, this team's different. And we've got the depth of leadership. You heard our players talk about it. It's not just those six. The depth of leadership we've got on our football team this year is different. And as a result of that, our team's desire to win, their melting together has also been different. And there's a lot of passion in this football team right now, which I'm really excited about. you know, maybe that's, you say, wow, that's kind of weird coming off the year that we have, but I think that also tells you something about the character of the guys that we've got right now, and I'm really excited to, you know, we've got another, you know, 3 weeks here of camp, or 2 weeks really of camp, and then we start full sail preparation for Missouri, but I'll tell you, you know, I can't wait to get on that field on the 31st.
Bob, you alluded to a lot of adversity early last year between the coordinator thing and the K-State loss and just that tough schedule. It kind of put you behind the 8 ball a little bit. You kind of got a little bit of a clean slate this year now. Have you talked about taking advantage of that, starting strong, building some momentum, just kind of creating some good vibes early on?
Yeah, you know, I think that's really important to gain some momentum. Obviously, we got a great test right out of the gate, you know, to go down and play an outstanding Missouri football team, but then one of the things that we've never had, you know, really since I've been here, is a chance to come back home for 2 weeks in a row. You know, you know, that's a great opportunity schedule-wise. It's a great opportunity to take, you know, and capture some momentum early by playing some home games early, because this is a place where honestly we've played really well. Even last year we played well in the Dome, and so we've got to take advantage of that. You know, in this league, you got to take advantage of your non-conference schedule, and then you got to play well at home, and you got to find ways to win on the road. And you know, this year we got 6 home games, so that's an advantage for us from a schedule standpoint. We got to use it that way.
Is there a balance from a coaching standpoint to staying true to who you want to be, and kind of balancing that against staying ahead of the curve with trends of the game, or just things like that, or even if opponents are, you know, the game has opened up a little bit, it's more of a speed game. So how has that kind of progressed throughout the years, I guess?
Yeah, you know, I think you know, football is certainly cyclical. You know, you had 6-7 years ago, you had everybody trying to go up-tempo offense, you know, and not that we won't have some tempo component. I think that's important, but what's happened is defenses have kind of figured out how to play tempo, and now you see, you know, teams that are winning national championships, not just at the FCS level, but, you know, at the FBS level, playing more what I would refer to as pro-style offenses, where you're trying to find ways to gain an advantage at the line of scrimmage. And so, you know, I think, you know, our systematic change, you know, puts us in a good position to be able to do that. I think in our league, you got to play good defense, you got to take advantage of scoring opportunities, and you got to be able to control the football when you need to control the football. And that's what you know, we're trying to build offensively, is that system that can do that.
Coach, Travis Tice was telling me earlier about the comeback his team had in the wiffle ball tournament there. Just how entertaining was that final game between his team and Brock Mogensen's team?
For you guys that don't know, you know, our guys are here all summer, and you know, with the 8 weeks of training that they have, and so we want to, you know, they're here all the time. You know, some of them work jobs, some don't, so they try to have a little bit of fun too. So we set up a summer-long wiffle ball tournament played in the Dome, and got to be pretty competitive wiffle ball, I'm telling you, particularly when we got into the final tournament. So it's good that they have fun. You know, that's part of building the right culture, is, you know, you have guys that can have fun together just like they can play hard together.
Bob, 3 major rule changes in college football without allowing consecutive timeouts and not extending quarters, and probably the one fans will notice right away the most is a running clock, not stopping it after first downs. How does that change perhaps the game plan, and just how does it change the game in general?
Yeah, you know, I, having, you know, been on the rules committee and chaired it for a couple of years, I'm not a real fan of the reason why they changed the rule. You know, they changed the rule because they think college football is too long. Well, the reason why college football games are too long is because of TV timeouts, not because of the game. But anyway, so it's going to shorten the game probably 6-7 plays over the course of a game. You know, and I think where it really comes into play, you know, we're working some timing situations in practice. We worked one today, honestly, where, you know, we're trying to hurry up, you know, from a down situation where in the past that first down would give you that short clock stoppage, and now it doesn't until under 2 minutes. And so, you know, you just have to be aware of the rule and you know, and how it's going to affect you in certain situations. But I don't know if fans will really notice it that much, except that you're gonna get shorted a handful of plays to watch every week.
You mentioned, you just said it a minute ago, how this team's different when it comes to the leadership on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Can you expand on that and just, you know, what is it that makes you go, you know, this team has just an innate amount of leadership?
Yeah, well, you know, and we've had some really good leaders, don't get me wrong. You know, I go back, Chris Strevler, one of the best, you know, individual leaders I've ever had. But I think the depth of the leadership on this football team, like I can go to every position group and I can say, hey, that guy's you know, a guy that does a great job, you know, not just leading his position group, but as a leader for that side of the football or as part of our team. And you know, that's been developed, you know, over some years. Certainly the fact that we've got some COVID seniors and guys that have been around a long time, you know, to have a guy like Brock, you know, that's a two-time captain. And I think over the course of that process, you know, and we talk a lot about leadership and trying to, you know, find ways to develop leaders in our program. And, you know, we finally got a cycle here where, you know, we've got some guys that are committed. They're guys that are not just in back pushing, they're in front pulling guys along. And when you've got that kind of core group, that's when you got a chance to have really good football teams. And, you know, I've been fortunate to be around, you know, a lot of groups like that in my career. And that's why I'm so excited, quite frankly, because, you know, I think, you know, this year we got a chance, you know, we got a chance to do something special, and that's what this team wants to do.
Time for one or two more?
Just how has Josh Manchagaya kind of adjusted to the coaching role he's taken on with the team this year?
Yeah, you know, Josh, after the season last year, kind of approached us about the possibility of being a GA, and you know, he volunteered some time over the spring, and you know, he's really bright, you know, and you know, I think a guy that probably will end up, you know, not all GAs end up in coaching careers, but I think Josh is definitely a guy that is headed that direction.
Any more? All right.
Appreciate your coverage of our program. Thanks for being here.
Appreciate you.